Overshadowed by Sunday's historic, entertaining Super Bowl was Saturday's complete domination of the Cleveland Cavaliers by the Houston Rockets. Jalen Rose, you were doing countdown for that game. You said that the Cavs have quit on LeBron James. What exactly do you mean by that?
And really, when you're an iconic figure like LeBron, these type of things actually take place in sports where so much is asked of him: points, rebounds, assists, leadership, be the face of the franchise, be the person that helps foster an atmosphere of success.
Sure.
Help us achieve our goals.
Help us bring in free agents.
He's the person, correct, that when you say he's on the team, oh, he got a rite of passage, they're going to win the East. Now you look a little deeper into the squad. They've gotten older. They've gotten slower. They can't protect the rim. It's an expensive roster. So many guys that they brought in from that either were on the team last year or the last couple, like Tristan Thompson, J.R. Smith, aren't performing the way you'd hope. Iman Shumpert has been injured. You bring in Isaiah Thomas and Crowder. They don't approximate what Kyrie Irving was able to bring to the table in any way, shape, or form. Oh, and by the way, Mr. Irving is balling in Boston, and they're the #1 seed in the East. They now look like a team that's defeated. LeBron James looked like a champion that's fatigued, that's unhappy running with this squad, that doesn't have enthusiasm, that doesn't have a sense of urgency that they play with on a nightly basis.
That game,
this is a chance for the Eastern Conference to be up for grabs.
In that game, LeBron James had 11 points on 3 for 10 shooting. But aside from the numbers, he looked disinterested. He looked upset. He looked frustrated. And you say that the team quit on LeBron when it also kind of felt like LeBron quit on the team. Is that fair to say?
I understand why you would go there, but there's a level of frustration. And I knew it at the end of the first quarter when he got the rebound and threw the ball the other way. That he was just really upset.
Hey, what do you think of the Cleveland Cavaliers? We want to run back the sound that Ty Lue from earlier today. This was after practice, talking about his team struggles. I was bowled over by this. Take a listen.
I mean, we're still going to make the playoffs. I mean, there's no doubt about that. We feel confident in that, for sure.
You know, we're still going to make the playoffs. That's where we are with a team that's made 3 straight finals? We're still going to make, and by the way, are they? They're not that far out of 9.
They'll be okay. I mean, they're elite strictly by virtue of incumbency, which is you can't disqualify a team in pre-All-Star break if the previous successes were there. But, you know, one of the things that I thought, first of all, you were at the game. You saw it. I mean, the level of indifference and disregard for defense on basic sets, a pick and dive with Capella, like maybe you want to come in from the weak side corner and pick up the big 7-footer who's alone.
Roll into the basket?
I mean, in the half court. This is not even like, oh, some early offense drag screens.
Right.
I mean, this is like, I mean,
basic.
The Rockets have an incredible offense, but it's pretty predictable. Like they run basically the same general sets. I mean, I have not seen that level of disinterest, Brian.
Isaiah Thomas said, don't talk about our toughness. It's not tough to guard that team. They shoot a bunch of threes.
Yeah.
I mean, well, okay, so here's the thing. So Ty Lue comes out and says, hey, we're still a playoff team. The way they have been playing in recent big games, Byron, would this team even win a first-round series?
No.
Right? A first-round series.
Not the way they've been playing in recent games.
I'm not saying, can they make it to the finals? Would they win a first-round series?
No, I don't think they would. And I think LeBron said that about a week ago. You know, if we were in the playoffs right now, we wouldn't win. We wouldn't get out of the first round. And I think he was absolutely right.
By the way, LeBron hasn't lost a first-round game in 6 years.
Right. But right now, they are in disarray. It's no doubt about that. The locker room is in disarray. This whole team right now is in disarray. They don't have an idea of what they want to do as a basketball team. I think they do, but they really don't right now. And you have just so much dissension on this team. You have so many things that are going on inside that locker room that we are not privy to. But, you know, from outside looking in, I could tell when a team doesn't have a bunch of guys that enjoy being around a bunch of other guys. And right now, these guys don't enjoy playing with each other. They don't enjoy being around each other. So winning right now is the least of their worries. I mean, they got enough talent that when you put them out there, they're going to win some games.
I'm starting to get worried.
Ty Lue is right. They're going to make the playoffs. We all know that.
Okay, but where are they going to be? Are they going to be the 7th spot? I mean, that's a concern, by the way, if in the first round they're right out of the gate. We say, oh, the Cavs take time in the playoffs to warm themselves up. Can't warm yourselves up against the Raptors or the Celtics or whatever teams kind of end up there. Brian, given that there are so many levels to this, but as you and I have talked about so many times, there is a little bit less than half a season left. They still have LeBron James on the roster. It would be a mistake for a franchise like Cleveland that in the future might not attract a lot of free agents to say, we're just going to throw this half season away, whatevs. So what can they do?
I expect LeBron to bounce back from this malaise that he's in. I do not expect him to continue to play this way. He will not go down this way. He knows there's still time left. I expect him to rebound. What I don't know is if the team can come together. And I am a guy who is coined the, I don't know if I coined it, but I believe in the fact that there's always time. There's always time in playoff series, in games, in seasons, obviously. So I'm not a guy who generally likes to overreact and say, they're done. I would never say that. But I do think with a deadline coming this Thursday, 2 weeks earlier than in the past, they need to change the air in the room. Even if they send out 3 players and get back 2 players that are equivalent or less, they have to change the air in the room. I do not think time will fix it. There are certain issues between certain players that I do not think will be mended. And if you don't do it before Thursday, you may regret it come March, and you may really regret it come July.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's on LeBron. And one thing that I thought was really interesting as I was looking at sort of defensive numbers, for all the talk that, hey, LeBron doesn't really flip the switch defensively to the playoffs, he's been really solid since he got back to Cleveland. These are the defensive real plus-minus numbers. Top 5 at his position each of the 3 previous seasons in Cleveland. Look where he is this season. I mean, again, going back to indifference, he sets the tone. Obviously, he is the kind of great avatar of accountability in Cleveland. And to the extent that they are going to recover, whether it's sending guys in or coming out, I mean, if LeBron would just offer a modicum of effort defensively, I mean, maybe we get from 30th to a whopping 18th and start playing a respectable brand of NBA basketball.
It's a chicken and egg thing, though.
I think they got to make a trade, too. I think they got to clear some of that negativity that they have in that locker room and get it out of there, and then you'll see a rejuvenated LeBron James. And I agree with Brian. I've never counted this guy out. I mean, as long as he's got that 23 jersey on and he's playing, we don't know what's going to motivate him to get him to that next level. But when it comes March, this team always seems to start playing much better, and they always seem to put the differences behind them. I don't think they can do that this year with some of the stuff that you just talked about, what's going on in the locker room. But I think you have to have a change as far as 2 or 3 players got to go, bring in another 2 or 3 players or whatever the case may be. That'll rejuvenate, I think, this whole team.
And you need a hole, though, that you is not too deep to dig yourself out of. Because, again, if you're a low playoff seed, which I can't believe we're having this conversation.
I don't see that happening.
You don't have the time to work yourself into it during the playoffs the way we've seen the last couple of years. Brian, you posted a great feature on ESPN.com. We mentioned it before the break, along with Bobby Marks, our front office insider. Look, we knew this was coming, right? The free agency market is getting screwed up because of the free agency market 2 years ago. The Players Association decided not to smooth the cap. And were you the one calling them the spikers?
Yeah,
right?
The players and people in the league who got to 2016 contracts, GMs call them the spikers because of the cap spike. So we'll just make this very simple for you to understand. The salary cap is essentially staying flat. It's just a teeny increase, about 1% increase year over year. Right now in the NBA, there's $3.1 billion in spending. Pretty good. For next year, we already have $3 billion committed. So very little money coming off the cap, very little increase in the cap. You don't have to be an economist to understand there's no new money. So it's going to be tight for the free agents. Not for the stars. The stars are going to get paid. But for the guys who were getting $14, $17 million role players, Two years ago, it's just not going to be that case this summer, and we're already seeing it manifest itself in trades. There's going to be 12 teams next year that are paying the luxury tax. There's no way that number is going to hold. Teams are going to try to get out of money. That's going to start this week and continue this summer. So,
Byron, I have a question from a player's perspective. You're seeing guys who a couple years ago were getting these huge contracts. The guys this summer are going to be offered, the mid-level guys, deals that are lower. And they're going to sit there and be like, hey, why am I getting paid less than the guy next to me in the locker room? I'm so much better. How much problems is that going to cause in locker rooms when we've got this dynamic getting set up?
I don't think it's going to cause that many problems. You know what? Guys understand that this is business. And, some guys say, hey, kudos to you for getting it when you got it. I'm still just sitting there going, Jesus Christ, you're talking about role players making 14, 17 million. Man,
three-point shooting specialist, you know what those guys are getting paid by?
I'm just daydreaming. I made $3 million. I'm $14 million.
Right?
I'm just.
We're gonna need to.
Okay, I'm back. I'm back. Yeah, I'm back.
We're
Godly,
gonna need to find out. By the way, you said
Jeez.
what? 3.1 billion overall. We need someone. I don't know if, but it's an hour-long show. I don't know if by the end of the show we can find out what the total overall payroll was for Byron's last season. But it was not 3.1 billion.
It was less than 3.1 billion. I can tell you that.
But Rachel, you're right. There are some guys who are going to be free agents this summer who maybe will be making less money than their backups.
Yes, that's my
happen to
point.
sign.
This guy is backing me up, and he is making several $1 million more than me a year. I think we're going to see that kind of come to play next season.